What if everything you thought you knew about angels was a lie? Long before the Great Flood, a shocking betrayal took place in the heavens. 200 powerful angels descended to earth, breaking divine law, taking human wives, and birthing terrifying giants that ravaged the world. Their leader, Semjaza, and the infamous Azazel, taught mankind forbidden secrets, black magic, weapons of war, and the mysteries of the cosmos. But their sins came at a terrible price. As chaos consumed the earth, cries of the innocent reached the heavens, demanding justice. God's wrath was unleashed. The mighty watchers, once revered, were cast into darkness, bound for eternity. And the world was never the same again. What did Enoch witness when he was taken to the heavens? How did these fallen angels shape human history? And what terrifying fate awaits them on Judgment Day? This is the Book of Enoch, the hidden chapter of history they don't want you to know. Stay until the end. You won't believe what's coming. Subscribe now and uncover the truth. In a dreamlike vision, Enoch found himself surrounded by a radiant glow, a presence unlike anything earthly. Two celestial beings, their forms shimmering with ethereal light, descended before him. Their voices, though not heard with the ears of the flesh, resonated deep within his spirit, a harmony that transcended mere words. He felt a pull, not of force but of invitation, as if the very fabric of his soul was being drawn towards something beyond mortal comprehension. The angels, towering in their majesty, extended their hands toward him, and without hesitation, Enoch was lifted from the constraints of the world below. The weight of flesh and bone fell away, and he soared with them into the vast expanse of the heavens. What he beheld was no mere dreamscape, but the veiled reality hidden from human sight, a realm where the divine wove its mysteries beyond the veil of time. Enoch gazed upon the celestial courts, where the righteous stood in the presence of the Almighty. The thrones of dominion and power shimmered like molten gold, reflecting the uncreated light that emanated from the source of all things. He saw the rivers of fire spoken of by the prophets, flowing with judgment and purification. The voices of the seraphim echoed in an endless song, crying, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty, who was and is to come." Revelation 4:8. The very air seemed to vibrate with a presence that filled the cosmos with meaning and order. As they ascended higher, Enoch's spirit trembled, not in fear, but in the overwhelming realization of his own smallness. The angels spoke, not in the language of men, but in the silent utterance of understanding that imprinted itself upon his being. They revealed to him the secrets of the divine order, how the movements of the stars aligned with the will of their Creator, how the affairs of men were written in the book of life before they unfolded in time. The angels led him through the archives of the heavens, where the deeds of humanity were recorded. He saw the weight of sin bending the fabric of creation, the corruption that had seeped into the hearts of men since the days of the first fall. The cries of the innocent and the oppressed reached the courts above, and justice was measured in scales beyond human reckoning. "See, mortal one," one of the angels said, his voice like the rushing of mighty waters, "the folly of those who believe their deeds go unseen. The Almighty is not blind, nor does he slumber. The iniquities of the earth cry out, and judgment will not be delayed forever." Enoch wept, not merely for the punishment that awaited the unrepentant, but for the blindness of those who walked in darkness, oblivious to the grace extended to them. He saw the messengers descending to deliver warnings, the prophets called to speak truth, and the rejection of their words by hearts hardened in pride. The angels then turned his gaze toward the end of days, where he beheld the great separation, the gathering of the faithful into the embrace of eternal light, and the casting away of those who had chosen the path of rebellion. The heavens and the earth trembled as the Son of Man came in glory, and every knee bowed before him, Philippians 2:10. The battle was not of swords and shields, but of truth against falsehood, of light dispelling darkness. A great sorrow gripped Enoch's heart, but with it came hope. For amid the visions of judgment, he also saw the river of life flowing from the throne of God, restoring all things. The redeemed stood clothed in garments of light, singing songs of joy that resonated through eternity. The promise was not merely of wrath, but of renewal, of a love that pursued even the most lost until the final hour. As the vision began to fade, Enoch felt the angel's hands upon his shoulders, guiding him gently back to the realm of men. The radiance dimmed, the celestial harmonies softened, and he found himself once more in the world of dust and toil. But he was not the same. The secrets of the heavens burned within him, a fire that could not be extinguished. He understood now the weight of his calling, to bear witness to what he had seen, to speak the words given to him, to call mankind back to the path of righteousness. He fell to his knees, the echoes of the angelic voices still ringing in his soul. The stars above seemed brighter, their silent testimony a reminder of the reality beyond sight. He knew that the vision would never leave him, nor could he ever be the same again. And so, with trembling hands and a heart set ablaze, he rose, ready to walk the path laid before him, carrying within him the revelation of the divine. The descent of the angels was not merely an event, it was a tragedy of cosmic proportions, an act of rebellion that forever altered the order of creation. Led by Semjaza, 200 angels gazed upon the beauty of human women and found themselves ensnared by a temptation that transcended their celestial nature. The Book of Enoch recounts this moment with an air of inevitability, as though these beings, created to serve the divine, had been fated to fall the moment they set eyes upon mortal flesh. And it came to pass, when the children of men had multiplied, that in those days were born unto them beautiful and comely daughters. And the angels, the children of heaven, saw and lusted after them, and said to one another, Come, let us choose us wives from among the children of men, and beget us children. Enoch 6:1-2. The words echo through time, capturing the essence of desire that corrupted these celestial beings. The decision was not made lightly. It was sealed with an oath. Each of the 200 angels swore upon the others, binding themselves to a fate they could not escape. This oath, taken in unity, ensured that none could recant, none could turn back before the fateful descent. Upon reaching the earth, they took wives, abandoning their divine stations in the heavens. These unions, unholy in their nature, bore offspring, giants, Nephilim, beings of immense size and great power. They were not ordinary creatures. They were anomalies, walking contradictions to the natural order, their very existence a sign of transgression. The Nephilim devoured the land, consuming its resources in excess, spreading chaos and destruction wherever they roamed. The weight of this event was not lost upon the heavens. What had been meant to remain separate had now been interwoven, and with that mingling came corruption. The angels who had once stood in the presence of the Almighty now found themselves tainted, their divine glow dimmed by sin. Knowledge, once a sacred thing, was twisted into a means of domination. These fallen ones imparted to humanity secrets not meant for them, the art of weaponry, the crafting of enchantments, the understanding of stars and celestial movements beyond what was allotted to mankind. The world became darker, burdened with knowledge that, in the hands of fallen beings, led only to ruin. This narrative is not merely a story of rebellion, but a reflection on the nature of divine boundaries. Why were these angels drawn to human women? Was it desire alone, or was it a yearning for something they themselves lacked? Unlike humanity, they were not created to experience love in its fullness. Their existence was one of service, unwavering devotion, and celestial duty. to glimpse the passion of mortals, the bonds of husband and wife, the tender touch of a child. Perhaps it was this that lured them downward. The tragedy is not just in their fall, but in the unbridgeable divide they sought to cross. Scripture gives us many warnings about boundaries meant to be upheld. When these limits are transgressed, chaos follows. And the earth was filled with violence, Genesis 6:11, a direct consequence of the Nephilim and the corruption that followed in their wake. What had once been a world of divine order had now become a land of turmoil, spiraling towards destruction. Some interpretations suggest that the fallen angels, by stepping into human lives in such a way, sought to forge their own kingdom separate from God. If they could not rule in heaven, they would create dominion on earth. But such aspirations were doomed to fail. The flood that followed in Noah's time was not merely an act of judgment, but an act of cleansing, a divine restoration of balance. The Nephilim, despite their strength, could not stand against the waters of divine wrath. Yet, even in destruction, echoes of their deeds remain. Some say the spirits of these fallen ones still wander, that the knowledge they imparted still lingers in forbidden places. The influence of the Watchers, as they came to be known, did not vanish entirely. Legends of giants and fallen gods persist in cultures across the world, shadows of a time when heaven and earth mingled in defiance of divine will. This tale is more than ancient history. It is a warning. It speaks to the consequences of forsaking divine order, of desiring what was never meant to be possessed. The tragedy of the fallen angels is not just their punishment, but the loss of what they once were. To fall from grace is not just to lose a position, it is to lose oneself entirely. Sin spread like a great shadow over the earth, consuming all in its path. The giants, born of an unholy union, rose in defiance of the natural order. They devoured the fruits of the land without restraint, stripping the earth of its abundance. When the bounty could no longer sustain their gluttony, they turned upon mankind, feasting upon the weak and crushing the strong beneath their mighty feet. Blood soaked the soil, and the cries of the innocent rose up like incense before the heavens. Amid this chaos, Azazel, the fallen one, descended with forbidden knowledge. He unveiled the secrets of the forge, teaching men to shape metal into weapons of war. Swords gleamed under the sun, and spears thirsted for blood. The first craftsmen, once peaceful artisans, learned the art of death. The battlefield became their canvas, painted in the crimson of their brethren. But Azazel's gifts did not stop at warcraft. He adorned humanity with gold and silver, teaching them to fashion jewels, not for beauty's sake, but for vanity and pride. With these adornments came corruption, a seduction of the soul. Men and women, once content in the simplicity of the earth's blessings, now craved status and dominion over one another. The love of beauty turned to lust, the pursuit of wisdom to arrogance. And then came sorcery. Whispers of power beyond mortal grasp spread among the people. Potions brewed in secret chambers, incantations uttered beneath the stars. The elements bent to the will of men, but in their folly, they mistook their control for divinity. Darkness clung to their hearts as they sought dominion over the unseen, their spirits bound by forces beyond comprehension. The lament of the righteous echoed in the wilderness. The prophets warned, their voices like trumpets in the night, yet few listened. The scrolls of old had spoken of a day when wickedness would multiply, when the children of men would forsake the ways of their Creator. Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, the sacred text proclaimed. Yet the people, intoxicated by their newfound might, mocked the warnings and silenced the voices of the faithful. The heavens grew heavy with wrath. The earth trembled beneath the weight of its own iniquity, but the giants did not fear. They were kings of their own making, believing themselves beyond judgment. The arrogance of the fallen bled into the hearts of mortals, and together they built altars, not to the one who formed the heavens and the earth, but to the dark forces that whispered promises of endless power. The fire of sacrifice burned, the air thick with the scent of offerings given not in love, but in fear. Yet, in the midst of this darkness, a remnant remained. Those who had not bowed to corruption sought refuge in the shadow of the Almighty. They cried out for justice, for deliverance. The blood of the innocent demanded reckoning. And though the world seemed consumed by wickedness, the righteous knew. The judge of all the earth would not remain silent forever. The heavens trembled with righteous fury as the celestial hosts beheld the chaos unfolding below. Archangels, Michael, Uriel, Raphael, and Gabriel, cast their gaze upon the earth, their hearts heavy with sorrow, their spirits ignited with the fire of divine justice. Blood tainted the sacred soil, and the wails of the oppressed rose like incense to the throne of the Almighty. Sin had spread its roots deep, weaving a web of corruption that ensnared both the mighty and the meek. The cries of the innocent could no longer be ignored. Michael, the warrior of heaven, his sword gleaming with holy fire, stood at the forefront, his voice thundering through the celestial expanse. "Lord of hosts," he proclaimed, "your creation groans beneath the weight of iniquity. Will you not rise in judgment, as in the days of old? Have you not said, 'Vengeance is mine, I will repay'?" Romans 12:19. Uriel, the light of wisdom, lifted his hands, his eyes reflecting the sorrow of divine understanding. "The knowledge of the righteous is perverted, O Lord. Your truth is scorned, and the wicked prosper in their defiance. Darkness cloaks the hearts of men, and they call evil good and good evil." Isaiah 5:20. Raphael, the healer, wept for the broken world, his tears falling like stars extinguished before their time. "The wounds of the just are deep, yet their suffering is offered to you as incense, Lord. But how long shall they endure without relief? Shall the righteous be forever trampled beneath the feet of those who despise your name?" Gabriel, the messenger, raised his trumpet but held back the sound. "The appointed time draws near," he declared, "yet mercy still pleads. The prayers of the faithful rise like a river of light before your throne. Will you stay your hand, O Most High, or shall the cup of wrath be poured out at last?" A silence deep as eternity settled upon the heavens, and the cherubim veiled their faces. The Almighty, who had spoken to Moses from the burning bush, whose voice had split the mountains and stilled the raging sea, now regarded the earth with eyes of fire. "The sins of man are many," he declared, "and their hearts are hardened. I have sent prophets, yet they are slain. I have sent signs, yet they do not perceive. My patience is long, but it is not without end." And so the heavens held their breath as judgment loomed, and the angels, bound to obedience, prepared to carry forth the will of the Most High. The judgment of the Lord is swift and unerring, for he does not falter in righteousness nor hesitate in justice. From the beginning the heavens trembled at his decree, and the fallen ones knew that their rebellion would not go unpunished. Azazel, once radiant, was cast down in chains, the weight of his transgressions now bound to him for eternity. The Lord, in his divine wisdom, did not permit such corruption to spread unchecked. And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. Revelation 21. Thus, with the authority that only the Almighty wields, Azazel was hurled into the abyss, a pit of endless void where light does not enter, nor hope arise. His sins were made manifest, and he bore the weight of all he had tainted. Semjaza, the leader of the rebellious host, who had sworn with his brethren upon Mount Hermon to defile the daughters of men, faced the judgment foretold. 70 generations would pass before their final destruction, yet even in their imprisonment, their agony would not wane. And the angels who did not keep their positions of authority but abandoned their proper dwelling, these he has kept in darkness, bound with everlasting chains for judgment on the great day. Jude 1:6. Theirs was not a fate of oblivion, but of conscious torment, a reminder to all of the cost of forsaking divine will. These angels, who once reveled in the glory of the celestial realms, had chosen to forsake their Creator's harmony for their own desires. They descended upon the earth, clothed in pride and hunger for dominion, whispering forbidden knowledge into the ears of mortals. The sons of God saw that the daughters of men were beautiful, and they took them as wives. Genesis 6:2. In doing so, they corrupted the purity of creation, breeding chaos where order was once sovereign. Their punishment was not only a testament to divine wrath, but also to divine mercy. For as the Lord cast them into chains, he shielded the righteous from their influence, preserving a remnant untouched by their deception. He would not allow the foundations of his creation to crumble under the weight of lawlessness. For the Lord your God is a consuming fire, a jealous God. Deuteronomy 4:24. His justice burns away iniquity, refining what is pure and destroying what is unholy. Their cries echo through the void, unheard by those dwelling in the light, as they await the final day of reckoning. And on that day, when the heavens are rolled up like a scroll and the stars fall from their places, they will be cast into the lake of fire, never to rise again. And the devil who deceived them was thrown into the lake of fire and brimstone, where the beast and the false prophet are also, and they will be tormented day and night forever and ever. Revelation 20:10. Their dominion ends not with a triumphant rebellion, but with eternal subjugation under the unyielding hand of the Almighty. And so, the faithful must remember, though the darkness tempts, it is fleeting. Though evil rises, it is doomed to fall. For the Lord reigns, his decrees are unshaken, and his justice, like an all-consuming fire, purges the wicked from his sight. The Lord spoke unto Noah, saying, Prepare thyself and thy household, for the floodgates of heaven shall be opened, and the deep shall rise, to cleanse the earth of iniquity. And Noah, a man of righteousness, heeded the divine command. With reverence, he gathered his sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and began the work set before him. The world in those days had grown corrupt beyond measure, filled with violence and deceit. The hearts of men had turned from their Creator, delighting in wickedness rather than in the path of righteousness. They scoffed at wisdom, cast aside justice, and mocked those who walked uprightly. The earth was corrupt before God, and the earth was filled with violence. Genesis 6:11. It was not the wrath of an arbitrary judge, but the sorrow of a father who beheld his creation consumed by darkness. Noah labored in faith, building the ark as the Lord had commanded. The hammer struck wood, the sound echoing through valleys where men laughed at his efforts. What folly is this? They jeered. Where is the flood of which thou dost speak? Yet Noah did not falter, for he understood that the wisdom of the Lord is not as the wisdom of man. By faith, Noah, being warned of God of things not seen as yet, moved with fear, prepared an ark to the saving of his house. Hebrews 11:7. For 120 years the righteous man warned the people, calling them to repentance, yet their hearts remained hardened. The patience of the Almighty was great, but the time of reckoning would not tarry forever. Then, in the fullness of time, the heavens darkened, and the skies grew heavy with judgment. The first drops fell upon the dry earth, and a hush spread across the land. The laughter ceased, replaced by murmurs of unease. The earth trembled as the fountains of the deep burst forth, and the heavens opened their floodgates. Water rose with unrelenting force, sweeping away cities, tearing down the mighty works of men. Their strongholds, built upon pride and sin, crumbled before the power of divine justice. The people fled to high places, seeking refuge, but none was found. Their cries rang through the tempest, voices lifted in desperation. Yet the door of the ark was shut by the hand of the Lord. They did eat, they drank, they married wives. They were given in marriage, until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and the flood came and destroyed them all. Luke 17:27. Inside the ark, the chosen remnant waited. They were not chosen for their strength, nor for their wealth, but for their faith. They bore witness to the fury of the storm, yet they did not fear, for they knew that the Lord was their refuge. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore will not we fear, though the earth be removed, and though the mountains be carried into the midst of the sea. Psalm 46:1-2. For 40 days and 40 nights the rain continued without cease, and the waters prevailed upon the earth, covering even the highest mountains. The once bustling world, filled with the clamor of men, was silent. Only the ark remained floating upon the vast expanse of the waters, a vessel of mercy in the midst of divine judgment. Yet, in judgment, there was also grace. The Lord had not forgotten his promise to the faithful. As the floodwaters began to recede, a wind passed over the earth, and the torrents abated. The ark came to rest upon the mountains of Ararat, and after a time Noah sent forth a dove to seek dry land. It returned with an olive leaf, a symbol of hope and renewal. And God remembered Noah, and every living thing, and all the cattle that was with him in the ark. And God made a wind to pass over the earth, and the waters assuaged. Genesis 8:1. The flood was not merely an act of destruction, but of purification, a resetting of a world lost in sin. It was a testament to both the righteousness and mercy of God, who, though he judges, also redeems. And from the remnants of the old world, he brought forth a new beginning, sealed with the sign of the rainbow, a covenant between God and man. Thus, through faith and obedience, Noah and his family emerged from the ark, stepping onto a cleansed earth, where the echoes of judgment still lingered, yet hope shone brighter. The Lord had preserved a remnant, not for their own sake, but for his divine purpose, that his creation might continue, renewed, and set upon a righteous path. While the earth remaineth, seed time and harvest, and cold and heat, and summer and winter, and day and night shall not cease. Genesis 8:22. In the shadow of the flood, a lesson endures. The call to righteousness is ever before us. The door of mercy remains open, yet there comes a time when the door is shut. Let those who have ears hear, and those who have eyes see, that the ways of the Lord are just, and in him alone is salvation found. The flood was not merely history, but a mirror, reflecting the state of mankind's heart, a forewarning that still speaks. As in the days of Noah, so shall it be again. The question remains, who shall heed the call? The fate of the soul and the final judgment is a theme that echoes through sacred scriptures and the contemplations of theologians. The cries of the afflicted rise to the heavens, calling for justice, for divine retribution against those who have wrought evil upon them. Their voices are not lost to the void, but are heard by the Almighty, whose justice is unwavering and whose mercy is reserved for the repentant. In the Book of Revelation, the souls of the martyred cry out from beneath the altar, pleading, "How long, O Lord, holy and true, until you judge and avenge our blood on those who dwell on the earth?" Revelation 6:10. Their suffering has not gone unnoticed, nor shall their tormentors escape the weight of divine judgment. It is a universal truth that justice will be served, either in this life or in the next. The unrighteous may escape human law, but they will not evade the gaze of the eternal judge. The fallen angels, those who defied the Most High, stand as an eternal testament to the consequences of rebellion. Lucifer, once a bearer of light, was cast down from heaven, his pride marking his downfall. And the angels who did not keep their proper domain, but left their own abode, He has reserved in everlasting chains under darkness for the judgment of the great day. Jude 1:6. Their punishment is sealed, irrevocable. Unlike mankind, who is offered grace and redemption through Christ, the fallen angels are beyond salvation. They chose their path, and their condemnation is absolute. For humanity, the day of judgment looms as both a promise and a warning. The righteous will be rewarded, entering into the eternal joy of their Lord. The parable of the sheep and the goats, Matthew 25:31-46, offers a glimpse into this divine sorting. The merciful, the kind, and the faithful shall inherit the kingdom prepared for them from the foundation of the world. Meanwhile, the wicked, those who turned away from love and justice, will be cast into eternal punishment, where the fire is never quenched. Yet this judgment is not arbitrary. It is deeply intertwined with the choices of each soul. As it is written, "For we must all appear before the judgment seat of Christ, that each one may receive the things done in the body according to what he has done, whether good or bad." 2 Corinthians 5:10. The final judgment is not a distant myth, but a reality that awaits every living soul. It is a reckoning of our deeds, a fulfillment of divine justice that cannot be circumvented. The personal weight of this doctrine should not lead to fear alone, but to a life lived in awareness of the eternal. To acknowledge the certainty of judgment is to awaken to the necessity of grace. None can stand before the throne of God without the covering of mercy. In the words of Christ, "He who hears my word and believes in him who sent me has everlasting life, and shall not come into judgment, but has passed from death into life." John 5:24. Herein lies the great hope, that through faith and righteous living, the soul may find refuge in the presence of God. Therefore, let each heart examine itself. The cries of the oppressed, the fate of the fallen, and the promise of divine justice are not distant echoes, but living realities. The righteous must stand firm in faith, and the wicked must turn from their ways before the great and terrible day of the Lord arrives. Enoch, a man beloved by God, was taken by angels through the mystical realms, witnessing wonders unseen by mortal eyes. He was led through the heavens, where divine light radiated in all its splendor, and he beheld the throne of the Almighty, where the angels ceaselessly proclaimed, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lord God Almighty, who was, and is to come." Revelation 4:8. As he entered the sacred domain, Enoch saw angels arranged in perfect order, each bearing a unique brilliance that reflected the glory of the Creator. They carried out their duties with reverence, maintaining the divine order without deviation. And then he beheld the righteous souls, those purified and granted the privilege of standing before the presence of God. Their hymns of praise echoed like rushing waters, intertwining with the pure light emanating from the throne. Enoch was also led to the place reserved for the condemned souls, a chasm void of light, where the rebellious cried out in torment. "Where their worm does not die and the fire is not quenched." Mark 9:48. A realm where those who turned away from righteousness faced eternal consequences. The angels of judgment stood as sentinels, upholding the divine law with eyes that burned with sacred fire. From within the abyss, Enoch heard the desperate pleas of souls longing for a drop of water, like the rich man who begged Abraham in the parable of Lazarus, Luke 16:24. Yet, the justice of God is immutable, and each fate had been sealed according to his righteous decree. Continuing his journey, Enoch witnessed even more mysterious realms, places where souls awaited judgment, vaults of celestial knowledge accessible only to the chosen. He saw the treasuries of heaven, where rain, snow, winds, and lightning were stored, all operating under the sovereign will of the Creator. These forces were not chaotic, but were part of a divine order established since the foundation of the world. The guardian angels, the messengers of God, also revealed to Enoch the mysteries of time, the cycles predestined since the earth's creation. He was shown the book of life, where every deed of humanity was recorded, unalterable and eternal. The righteous will have their names written in it, but the unrighteous will not be found there. Revelation 20:15. The farther he traveled, the clearer Enoch's understanding of God's will became. He realized that the universe was not a series of random events, but a grand symphony orchestrated by the invisible hand of the Almighty. Beneath every star, every gust of wind, and every flowing river lay a purpose, a design far beyond human comprehension. When he was returned to the world, Enoch carried with him divine wisdom unknown to others. He recorded his visions so that future generations might learn and revere the Lord. His words resonated as prophecy, reminding humanity of God's presence in every moment of life. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and knowledge of the Holy One is understanding. Proverbs 9:10. The revelations of Enoch were not mere supernatural tales, but a call to the human soul to turn toward righteousness, to understand that justice is not merely an option, but the only path leading to eternal life. His journey stood as a testament that those who remain faithful to God will be illuminated, walking upon the path of light, where darkness cannot prevail. The heavens whisper of a time foretold, a sacred hour when the chosen one shall descend upon the earth. Clothed in majesty and wrapped in divine authority, he shall walk among us, separating the light from the darkness, the wheat from the chaff. It has been spoken of by the prophets, sealed within the sacred texts, and carried in the hearts of the faithful across generations. For the Son of Man is going to come in his Father's glory with his angels, and then he will reward each person according to what they have done. Matthew 16:27. The wicked shall tremble at his arrival, for their deeds will be laid bare before the throne of righteousness. No shadow shall conceal their iniquities. No deceit shall stand against the unyielding truth of his gaze. He is the flame that purges, the sword that cuts through the deceptions of the fallen world. The arrogance of the oppressors, the cruelty of the unjust, and the pride of those who scorn the divine law shall be swept away like chaff before the wind. But to the righteous, his coming shall be a dawn of endless peace. Their burdens will be lifted, their sorrows turned to joy. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Matthew 5:5. The faithful will stand in his presence, their souls illuminated by the radiance of his truth. No longer shall they toil beneath the yoke of suffering, for the kingdom of heaven shall unfold before them, a realm where justice reigns and love is the eternal law. His voice shall thunder across the heavens, calling forth the nations to account. The mountains will bow, the seas will roar, and the earth itself will bear witness to the hour of reckoning. Those who have turned away, who have sought to build their own thrones upon the bones of the weak, will find their power shattered. For it is written, "The Lord is a God of justice. Blessed are all who wait for him." Isaiah 30:18. Yet this judgment is not merely a reckoning. It is also an act of mercy. Even in the final hour, the door of redemption stands ajar. The chosen one does not wield his authority for destruction alone, but for the restoration of all things. Those who repent, who cast aside their robes of sin and seek refuge in the boundless grace of the divine, shall find themselves gathered into his embrace. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11:28. Thus the world shall be made new. The old order, built upon corruption and decay, shall crumble, and from its ruins will arise the city of light, the dwelling place of the righteous. The lion shall lie down with the lamb, and the sword shall be reforged into a plowshare. War and strife will be no more, for love shall govern, and truth shall be the foundation of all things. The faithful, clothed in white robes, shall raise their voices in songs of praise. For the chosen one has come, and his kingdom shall have no end, and he shall reign forever and ever. Revelation 11:15. Enoch, a righteous man, was chosen by God as a messenger among a world filled with sin. He walked among humans and fallen angels, carrying the fire of divine truth. His message was not only a warning, but also a guiding light for those willing to listen. In Genesis 5:24 it is written, Enoch walked faithfully with God. Then he was no more because God took him away. This verse does not merely recount his disappearance, but holds within it a sacred mystery. A man who did not taste death, a visible being who left this world with no one knowing his final fate. People witnessed Enoch's presence, but they were equally bewildered by his vanishing. To the faithful, this was a sign of redemption, proof that certain souls could be taken by God without enduring bodily decay. But for the fallen angels, it was a stern reminder that God's power surpasses all. Legends tell that Enoch did not only preach to mankind, but also conversed with the exiled angels. In the Book of Enoch, an apocryphal text, he is described as one who received divine revelations, witnessing things beyond the reach of mortal eyes. His words thundered like a storm in a dark sky, warning of the impending judgment. But how could a mere man stand before angels, straddle both heaven and earth, without being consumed by the enormity of the divine? Perhaps it was his righteousness that shielded him, his unwavering faith in God that upheld him, keeping him from faltering before the forces of darkness. Enoch did not wield power of his own, but was wholly obedient, walking the path that God had set before him. The disappearance of Enoch leaves humanity with a question. Some believe he was taken up to heaven, spared from the fate of ordinary men. Others speculate that he entered a different reality, a realm accessible only to chosen souls. This ambiguity is what makes his mission extraordinary. No grave, no trace, only words passed down through generations, a flickering light in the vast night. What Enoch spoke, what he did, remains as a testament. Time moves on, but his revelations endure. In Jude 1:14-15, the Bible records his prophecy, Behold, the Lord comes with 10,000 of his saints, to execute judgment upon all, and to convict all the ungodly. This proves that even though he is no longer in this world, his voice has never been silenced. Enoch is not just a figure in history, but a symbol, an image of obedience, of absolute faith. He was taken by God, yet his legacy endures, within sacred texts, within prayers, within souls searching for truth. And perhaps his disappearance was not an ending, but the beginning of something more mysterious, something beyond our comprehension. The truth has been hidden for centuries, but now it's finally revealed. From the moment the Watchers fell to the rise of the Nephilim, the Book of Enoch tells a story that shakes the very foundation of what we know. A tale of rebellion, divine wrath, and the ultimate judgment. But the question remains, is this just ancient mythology, or could it be a warning of what's to come? The fallen angels may be bound, but their legacy still lingers. Could their forbidden knowledge still influence the world today? Are there unseen forces shaping our destiny, just as they did in the past? And most importantly, will history repeat itself? What do you think? Are these just stories, or is there a deeper truth behind them? Let us know in the comments. If you found this video mind-blowing, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more shocking revelations from history, mythology, and beyond. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a story that changes the way you see the world. Until next time, stay curious, stay questioning, and never stop searching for the truth.